Hello, my name's Daryl Lee. I am with Team Purpose LLC. We're located out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Our purpose is to improve lifestyles in communities throughout the country. We have online and in person services. Our main motivation is to improve and maintain life in communities. We point out things that cause the community harm and increase crime. We work against those tools that's being used in some communities to cause deaths to rise, cause services to not be provided. Uh, we have two ways that you can start a process if you have a concern in your community. You can send us an email at teampurposehelp@yahoo.com, or you can call directly to 225-755-9215. I am the Executive Operations Director, and we take every situation pertaining to communities serious. We adapt information from profitable communities and bring them to communities that's not so profitable. So this message is not just for a particular race, it's for everybody. And I'm going to try to make this video uh, for everybody. Everybody should be concerned about the state of life in America today. I'm going to start with I don't question uh, America's commitment to keeping uh, certain classes of people right where they are today. It is profitable for some, but it is devastating for others. For instance, the most people who are ignorant, and ignorant is not a bad word, it just means you just don't know. Uh, Ignorance of involving yourself verbally or physically into situations that you're not clear on is not wise. It gives others an opportunity who is wise in certain areas. Let's say, for instance, and I'm going to use the Black community as an example. Black communities are mostly occupied by people who just don't understand their own interests. They don't understand that the best way to solve problems in your community is to get involved with the areas that you're concerned about. My biggest concern in these areas is crime. Uh, our younger generation is committing amongst themselves. They're killing each other. Some are jealous of each other, and that causes uh, uh, a problem for the community. But most people are either afraid to get involved in solving this problem, or they just feel like it's not gonna affect them, even though it's happening in their community. Now, the system has a way of dealing with these problems without input from the community. And what happens in these communities is by the time it's fixed or appears to be fixed, a lot of Black children are either in jail or dead. And that has been going on for generations. And the problem is, we have allowed our children to enter into a system that is designed and committed to bringing them into an atmosphere that's designed to keep them at a certain level in life. And they are trying to overcome that. They're doing it, in other words, by any means necessary. And they are ill informed about how to do that because the opportunities we had to offer them on how to take advantage of certain situations and circumstances that they're going to face, we failed them. We had no conversation with them. We just kind of watched them grow up. And to be honest, our foundation as older adults, we don't have anything to draw from. We are involved in a culture that has taken advantage in a way to where it taught us how to be divisive, how to be divided and not come together. It taught us how to hate certain things. It taught us how to look at our own history, and I'm still talking about uh, Black people. It taught us how our own heritage was nasty and uh, uh, ignorant, and it was just no good and of no use, no value. That's what we were taught. That's what so many generations were taught uh, as time passed, and that wasn't true. Because if you go back further enough, you know that your culture started in a place before it got involved with other cultures. There was no begging, there was no stealing. The land was rich with resources. Uh, Sicknesses were treated uh, with the natural process, and all of this stuff was good. And I'm not saying go back to a time to where everything we've accomplished so far should be disregarded. I'm saying there were some values back then that we should have held on to and continue to pass down. Today, things are so divided, even between the Black man and the Black woman, that a conversation about doing things differently or doing things in a way to where both agree that this is how it should be done is almost non-existent. One person has to have the last say so in these type of situations. I suggest it be the man, but it don't necessarily have to be that way. That's not a law. That's not something that's gonna uh break everything down if the lady or the wife has a better solution to the problem. You come together and you go with that and you work that out together. uh Communities back then were committed to each other. They wasn't divided. I mean, it was unheard of for a neighbor to kill another neighbor because of an angry situation. Now, I'm not saying it never happened, but it was not like it is today. You know, People are killing each other and not giving it a second thought. They go to the next phase, hire an attorney, and try to get away with it. And that's the culture that we living in today. And we need to dig deep because not just some Black people are ill informed and refuse to research what they truly believe and just go with what other people tell them, but there are other races that's ill-informed and ignorant as well. So I will say this: the most ignorant of and I hate to say this, but I have to say it, the most ignorant white people are going to always be in a better position than some of the most smartest Black people. And that's a fact. That's just the way it is. It's because we refuse to uh, 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 work our resources and become the force that we really are. The force that we really are hasn't even been tapped into. It's more of uh, a tap to keep people divided than to come together. And I know that's hard. And I know with everything that we've been taught over the years, it almost seems impossible. But this is what seems more impossible. Uh, it's the most ignorantest thing I've ever heard. And this came from a black man. He has a large following, and he made the comment that a whole generation of black people have to die off before we can fix the problems that we face today. That's a person that has given up on his own kind. That's a person who really put out a message that he care about the future, but he really don't care, because who knows that what person is in a bad situation right now that may be the next greatest inventor of something. Who knows who can reach that person and bring that person to a place to where they are very productive in this life. You don't give up on people like that. You definitely don't give up on a whole generation of people because you frustrated and you don't have a clue of how to move them forward. And it's because you refuse to uh, think of ways to fix the problem other than the same old problems. We got to get rid of it. We got to kill it. We got to ignore it as long as we can until they kill themselves. And that is the wrong message to send. I don't care who you are. I wouldn't even sit back and let a whole generation of any group of people just perish. It's just not the way to move a country, let alone this world, forward. Now we have been taught to hate each other. I mean, and it we try to you shouldn't have to find ways to love each other. You should just do it. I mean, it should be natural for you to be concerned then, and it should be harder for you to be disconcerted when you see a problem and you do nothing to fix it. You don't even do the simplest things, and the simplest thing is, if you're concerned about it, you research it and you find out some truths. I never would have found out that we were much better than I was led to believe we were before we had an interaction with other nations. I would have just believed that we was a bunch of naked fools running around in the jungle with no purpose at all. And that's just not true. That's just not true. But I was led to believe that that's who we were for a long time. And nobody tried to correct that belief within myself. And I was too lazy or too uninterested to find out the truth. That's not to anybody's blame but our own. And we are still living in a position, and I'm still talking about black people, we are still living in a position to where we don't see any hope unless another person come along who has money or who has status. It's never the person who is uh, you know uh, uh, who is not recognized that has the best answers. And the person who is not recognized is the person who sits at home. And long as it's not happening in my house, I'm gonna close the door. Even though our children, you'll be surprised at what your children come in contact with in a day. Just going to school, just walking to school. They see certain things. And when they are surrounded by a they're surrounded by a co- they're surrounded their community is surrounded and engulfed in people that just don't care. They throw trash down, they let anything come in, any business that come in, they welcome it. It don't matter if it's designed to corrupt and further divide the community. That don't matter. It's a business, and they respect the business, but the business don't respect them. They don't care. When they're surrounded by people who think like that, they grow up to think the same ways. And the ones who don't think that way, if they don't have a clear path of how to fix those type of situations, the first thing they want to do is get out, and that's another level. They may make it out of those type of situations, but it's just another level of a system that's committed to keep them or push them back, keep them at a certain level. Yeah, you may get a job as a manager, but you're looking at 30 years that you have committed your life to, you have sold your life to for $30 an hour, if that much, and you don't get any more until uh, uh, have proven that you deserve more. And if you look like me, that's a lot of proving to do, especially when they favor others who they prefer and want to see in that position. Somebody who don't look like me. I'm not talking about this because I read it in a book. I'm telling you about this because I've lived and I've saw. And thank God, it never did really make me commit at that level. I've always been the type of person to try to find out why certain things are as they are. And I come to the conclusion that it's nobody's fault but our own. At some point, yeah, the system is corrupt. Yeah, Biden is corrupt. Yeah, President Trump is corrupt. It's corruption all around us. But if you don't do your research and you don't look out for your own interests, you don't know who to vote for. And all this, and this me picking a side. Vote for Trump, and you look like me. I just want you to know it's just a matter of time before you be hanging from a tree. Period. That's not because Trump's a racist. He's not a racist. Trump really don't hate anybody but the people who speak out against him. He's a narcissist. I mean, look at the facts. There are some very wealthy people that if they say one bad word against him, he disrespects them and he puts them down. He don't try to win them over. He don't have time for that. He's focusing on the ones who don't know who he really is. And he is feeding those people. He don't have time for anybody who don't agree with him. Period. He's not even listening. He don't even hear it. He just dismisses it. And he go back to his followers. And his followers refuse to look at this man for who he really is. They make all kind of excuses. If I had to make these kind of excuses for Biden, I wouldn't vote for either one of them. I really wouldn't. So I'm not putting Biden on a pedestal. I'm not putting Trump on a pedestal. But I'm not putting Trump down. I'm just putting it out there. You do the research. Stop looking at just one news channel and it's all positive and fixed. in the favor of one person. You have to look at the whole picture, or you stay right where you are. And when I say the most ignorant people are going to be the ones that is always going to be the ones that pay the price. You're always going to be the one that you're going to feel like you're better than something, but you're going to have to pay more. You're going to have to sustain others' wealth and lifestyle before your own. And life don't stop. But we have a certain amount of time here on this earth. And this message is more about getting people to enjoy more of this life without all of that commitment to something that is committed to not serving you back. It's not committed to making life even tolerable for some people. They just have to accept it. And they really don't have to accept it. They just have to do a little bit of research. If you believe in something, find out why you believe it. Don't just, go with it because somebody told you that, this is what it is and this is how it should be. Don't do that. If you really believe in Jesus Christ, if you really believe, find out why. Find out why you believe in Jesus Christ. Because if you don't know why you believe in something, all you doing is repeating what somebody else said about your belief. If enough people say it, you just automatically believe it. Now, I'm a believer. I'm a believer, but I know why I believe. I'm a believer that God created all of this, but I know why I believe it. And all I had to do was read 2 chapters of the Bible to lock my faith in. And as I go through that Bible, I am, certain other truths in that Bible is revealed to me. Yeah, I've heard it in the past, but I want to see for myself and hear it for myself. If you really believe in God, that don't mean, believing in God don't mean you're going to wake up one morning and pray for a house, and then that evening, by the time you get off, you got a new house. No, that's not how God works. There are certain things here that we have to work through in order for even our prayers to be answered. He's not just, a half off sale today, God. That's not how he operates. That's how man operates. And you can see man's behavior and God's behavior as you read through that Bible, and they are clear. There is no confusing it. When you know this type of stuff for yourself, you won't be a believer one day and a non-believer the next day. Nobody can bring you anything. Call it a cult, call it whatever you want to. I call it a good thing because the foundation of the Bible is good. If you live according to the foundations of the Bible, that don't mean because the Bible say you're supposed to, if your son or daughter is misbehaving, you take them to the to the to the uh to the leaders of this country, and the members of the country are supposed to stone him to death. We know better than that. That's not going to happen. Now, even though that's still happening in some nations, that's not America. That's not what we do. And really, if this thing hadn't gotten so far outside of decency, respect, honor, and these words are not just used as a cliche, but they are rooted in who people really are, this world would be a lot better place. and the Black community would definitely be a better place. You got to have respect for life. You know, before we came in contact with other nations, it was unheard of for a child to disrespect his parents. It was unheard of for a member of the community to just go off wild and crazy and it not be addressed within the community. You know, it was highly unusual for a member of the community to be hurting in some type of financial or some type of physical ailment or whatever, and the whole community wasn't concerned. Today, we don't care. Grandma can walk out the house and fall off the porch, and somebody's going to laugh. And somebody's going to go over and try to help. You know, it's not completely out morals. They got good people, community, every community. But when the majority just don't care about the condition of the community that he live in, that community is disregarded by the very system that's supposed to be making sure it's not forgotten. You know, if the trash man pass your house and he missed your garbage can, you on the phone calling him. Your garbage can may not even be full, but because he's supposed to do that, you calling him and you're making a big deal out of it. But somebody can move into your community, open up a business, not hire anybody from the community, and sell drugs out of the building, or all kind of bad things can be happening around this business, and they may not be selling drugs, but everything that's hindering the community is happening around this business, and we don't call nobody. We don't get involved. We don't talk to the owner. We don't do nothing. But just don't let them pick up that trash. You know, our children, we have to prepare them for a system that is designed and committed to keeping them. This is a good phrase. Keeping them little boys and little girls. Your voice really don't matter. They don't want to hear your complaints. They don't want to hear none of that stuff. And from my experience in correcting things in Black communities, one person just can't call and get a serious problem fixed. It takes a team of people who they know is not going to go away until that problem's fixed. And I pointed out some things, and I'm going to end with this, that we, some areas that we are working in. If you own a business in a Black community and you are not taking care of that property properly, you will hear from us. And not only will you hear from us, but anybody in the process of renting or buying from you, we're not interested in, if you want to buy a piece of property, that's fine. We want you to buy that. And we hope that you're Black and buying it and going to come in and do the right thing with the property. But if most of the homes in these communities are owned by people of other nationalities, your toilet break and you making adjustments to flush the toilet. You're going in and drawing water from another place to flush the toilet, and they refuse to come and fix it until they're ready to come and fix it. That don't work. Not if we know about it, because we are taking what I call a report card on how you are managing your property. We don't want you to come out there after a storm and just put tarp on the ceiling, I mean, on the roof to keep the water out. We want you to repair the roof. Temporary, we understand that it takes time for certain things to happen, but you shouldn't forget that that's a problem, not just for that family, but for the community. You know, we talked about the convenience stores, that's the little neighborhood stores that's operating in these communities. You know, somebody gets shot, somebody get killed, drive-bys and all this other stuff. It's happening around these places. I'm not saying it's not happening at residence, but if it happened at your residence, you know why. It's somebody in there that's not uh uh not doing what they supposed to do in their daily activities. They into some kind of illegal stuff and they done, made somebody angry. I'm saying that this is right. I'm saying that that needs to be fixed too. But it's much easier to fix in a home than it is to fix in a business. If lighting is poor, we talking to you. If the property is junky and dirty, we talking to you. If your customer service sucks, we talking to you. And let's talk about the criminal justice system. We don't want to keep locking, getting out, allowing our youth to get locked up. Now, if you're out there drinking and driving and you get pulled over and you know you're drunk, you know you're going to jail, that's you making a decision to do that. But I would you know, just simple things that happen in the community, is no need to send somebody to call the police and send them through that process of going to jail, having to bail out, in some cases, having to hire an attorney. When you know the family, you know the person, let's try to work that stuff out in the community and, not cost the family more than it has to be. Now, we do own a 24-hour nationwide bail bonding company. And, uh, it's a service. But I'll be honest with you, it's a service that just gets you out of jail. You spend thousands of dollars that you don't get back, and you still have to fight your case. Nobody wants to stay in jail, but nobody should be getting out of jail with a bail bondsman and don't pay close attention to what they're dealing with. Because after that phase, it's the judgment phase. And that's where you'll either end up in prison or it's going to end up costing you a lot more money. It's going to cost you to be attached to a system that you're trying to detach yourself from. We have a reentry program to where, we counsel men and ladies coming out of that criminal justice system, and they shouldn't go to a house and feel comfortable sleeping late. That's jail mentality. If you decide you want to sleep all day, you can do it, but you're going to do it in a cage. You're not going to do it in a dorm where you're interacting with other people and have a job. You don't want the job, so you rebel, and there's no other choice but to put you in the cage until you get your mind right. And I'll be honest, the cage is not as big as a dog cage. You got to walk around there all day. They let you out the cage to go take a shower, and then you go back in the cage. That's why I left the criminal. That's why I left stop working for the prison system. And I worked for them for a long time, over 30 years. And, I always tried to talk to these guys to encourage them on getting out of that type of situation. Some listened, some didn't. But it is as close to hell on earth that you can get to. Prison. Nobody wants that. And even in that system, there is a racial hierarchy. You know, some of the white inmates get way more special privileges than any black, any Hispanic, any Asian. And there's not many Hispanics and not many Asians, not in Louisiana anyway. So that's a system you want to stay out of. That's a system, if you can avoid it, you don't want to be the cause of somebody getting caught up in that system. So it is what it is. Those are just areas that we are working in. We're working in the area of people who are stuck in life and they don't know how to move forward. We're working in that area. We have therapy and counseling sessions. It's all you can access the same way. Team Purpose. Daryl Lee at linktree.com. I didn't want to give that out unless I knew that was it, but that's a website address you can go to and you can see the services that we offer. And I thank everybody for the likes, for subscribing to this channel. Every time I get on here, I break a record on being on here longer. And I'm trying to go in the opposite direction. And it's kind of difficult because it's so much, but I'm noticing the more I get out of me to you, the less I have to talk about. The more I have to think about what I'm going to talk about. But when you're dealing with a community that's not all the way lost, but they are in a position to where they have been taught that they have to have permission from somebody else to do something, that other nationalities' way is better than the way we can come up and think about things. That's just not true. You have a mind. If it's functioning correctly, you have a brain, you can create things. You can think about what you want for your community and you can get serious about it and you can make changes. Or you can do like so many is doing, and that's accepting things as they are and just living with it. And I suggest that we stop doing that we come together, join Team Purpose, LLC, and join the team of individuals that's working together to solve these type of concerns. Thanks again for listening to this video. I hope you like and subscribe and share this video. Thank you again for watching this video.